when we're talking about it now, it sounds very obvious, but then we're not seeing resilience training. I mean, I haven't seen many of it, right? I'm wondering, when did you make this realization that it was so important?
I feel about resilience being a very important trait because the shit is really hard at the moment for CEOs, founders, but also many other leaders out there. We focus mostly on practicalities, like how do we build a great game? How do we build a marketable game? And not necessarily, okay, it will take you 52 tries to actually get there.
Today I'm joined by a 16-year games industry leader who's helped studios scale from a scrappy startup to 60-person teams. He's launched games built on Hollywood IP, led 60-person teams at Lightneer, and turned mobile titles into profitable multi-million euro businesses.
We had to make a decision of actually shutting down the company purely because it was uninvestable. We had taken the company to a certain stage, and then realization came that, this is not sustainable. At the end of the day, it's something that, what builds your resilience.
We had an honest conversation about why resilience, not necessarily talent, is the key to surviving in this industry, and how to lead through layoffs and funding gaps.
Starting as a CEO, or even before that as a head of studio, you kind of you're still with the team, but you kind of notice that now there's a kind of gap in between. To me, it was actually a shock, like how lonely position CEO-ship can be.
From someone who's bounced back, scaled up, and is now on a mission to build the best party games in the world, this episode's guest, CEO and co-founder of Kokoon Games, Henri Lindgren. Henri, welcome.
Thank you, Harry. It's great to be here.
Great to be here. Really excited for today. We kind of did this very by accident. We kind of stumbled across at a party in the Nordic Game Conference, right? I was like, we should do a podcast. And you said, okay.
True. Yeah. Surprisingly, we bump into each other in a party in the Nordics. Yeah.
Yeah. And you told me you recently raised money and you got this really cool thing going on. I was like, yeah, perfect. So for everyone at home, very quick kind of intro. So 15 years in the games industry, helped studio scale from startups to kind of IPO level. So multi-million profitable euro businesses. We're talking Hollywood IP, led 60-person games. And today I wanted to talk about the resilience, behind the scenes. What does it take to do all of this? And we very easily sometimes see the headlines and then, okay, what does it actually take to get there? So that's what we wanted to get into today. And also you're building a new business now, which I wanted to get into it. So I'd love for you to, just maybe expand on what you're working on right now, and then we can get straight into the show.
Awesome. So, I've been in the industry for 15, 16 years. I originally started as a producer back in the day doing PC games in Nitro Games in Finland. Then moved to another Finnish company, a bit bigger, 60 people team leading casino game development. And then 2020 jumped into the head of Lightneer as a CEO. That was like a four-year gig to me, and now on building on that team, building on that foundations, we have set up a new company called Kokoon Games. Our mission is to bring people together through play, and how we aim to do this is through very accessible next generation party games. So that's kind of what we are very enthusiastically focusing on at the moment.
Beautiful. And I'm definitely your target customer. I've played all the Jackbox games. We were chatting before the podcast, and
awesome.
I'm definitely excited to see what you make. Lovely. So first question I wanted to open up with is kind of, you've been through this cycle a few times. So you've built one business, now you're building another business. Maybe we can start with, why did you want to talk about resilience for this podcast? Do you feel like it's something people don't speak about enough?
I do, and I also wanted to speak about something that I think in your podcast you have had great guests talking about how to run a great business. Henrik Lesser had a great episode on what to do as a business owner, and where are the fundamental things as what you need to be focusing on when at the moment in 2025 when shit is really hard. So I guess because the shit is really hard at the moment for CEOs, founders, but also many other leaders out there, I just wanted to speak about resilience and how I feel about resilience being a very important trait, whether you are a CEO, whether you are a founder or any kind of team leader out there. So, or just, developing games. So I think it's something that it's a I think it's a fundamental thing that you need to kind of have in order to be successful, but also something that it is not spoken that
Yeah.
much. Like we focus purely or mostly on the kind of like practicalities, like how do we build a great game, what how do we build a marketable game, and not necessarily like it will take you like 52 tries to actually get there. So
Yeah, and you obviously lived it, and it's
yeah.
interesting. Like we hear soft skills, and I
Mm,
think that's becoming more normal to talk about and how important they are. Like the
for sure.
intangible, so to speak, where it's kind of easier to measure. Like how fast does this person write content? Like in my world, or how
Yeah,
fast do you write code? But then if you don't quote unquote survive, or you don't like stay in the business, or mentally check out, then
exactly.
it doesn't matter how fast you write, or it doesn't matter how fast you code. So yeah, it's definitely when you when we're talking about it now, it sounds very obvious, but then we look at it in person, like we're not seeing resilience training. I mean, I haven't seen many of it, right? Or so I'm wondering, when did you make this realization that it was so important? Like, did you see this happen, like when you were building your business? Where did you kind of realize that it wasn't something that we are talking about enough?
That's a good question. I think for me it was I started going to this like um, like a business coach,
Oh, nice.
psychological coach training few years ago, and I guess in there I kind of like learned resilience skills, and I learned much about myself, and realized that this is something that we really don't talk about. This is at the end of the day, it's a fundamental thing for any founder to be trained on, and then you as a founder can also help your team members to kind of you can facilitate that to your team members. So I think that was kind of the point. Let's say like I don't know, like four years ago, when I realized that hey, I mean I'm getting better at this, and maybe it's something that we should maybe talk more about.
Sweet. So maybe take us back to Lightneer. So with Lightneer, that grew and grew and grew. And I'm guessing there was probably many moments where you thought this might not last or what have you, because you've went through the cycle, right?
Yeah.
Maybe take us to a moment where kind of you felt that, right? Maybe you felt the fact that okay, I need to make a decision here, or I need to keep going, otherwise it's over. Could you take us maybe to that moment in time?
Yeah. So, okay, I guess like to understand the concept or the context a bit better. So Lightneer back in the day was founded as an education game company in 2015. It took a couple of pivots, and then 2020 when I jumped in, there was leadership changes happening. There was a lot of like team members leaving the company, and it was quite a turmoil going on. So I kind of jumped in. Well, on hindsight, I jumped in a easy place, because my first gut feeling was okay, we need to first fix the team and get the culture right,
Hmm.
and everything right. So it was kind of like a very fertile ground to start building on as a new CEO. Like I didn't inherit like too much of the like previous stuff that was
So you
happening.
built
So
like a culture. It's kind of like you had a new founding or a new beginning for the company.
Exactly, and that's actually what we initially started from. So we started to build the culture from very ground up. So setting up new values with the team, talking about what are the things that are important to us, and at the end of the day, that really paid off. We got a couple of really successful games, and really the ship started to turn, and 2021, 22 were really, really good years for us. And I guess talking about the resilience, it's you need to keep the resilience in the good times and bad times. So
Yeah.
it's but yeah, it's for us it was and for me especially it was, I guess, 20 23 24 when the the wave started to turn a bit, and for us it was basically a decision of like where do we get additional funding? And with all of the pivots that had happened after 2015, our cap table was quite, how would I say it?
Busy.
Quite busy, quite challenging. So we just like ended up we had to make a decision of actually shutting down the company purely because it was uninvestable. That to me was a very tough time, because you had taken the company to a certain stage. You had enjoyed with team, and then you had to the realization came that it's I mean, this is not sustainable, and you kind of need to when you needed to bring that to the team, it was quite
It's not fun.
yeah, it's not fun. It wasn't fun. But at the end of the day, it's something that again, what builds your resilience. These are the things that when you don't give up, you just take the learnings and understand that okay, these are the things that I'll not do in my next company. These are the things that I will continue to do. These are the things that we did really well. These are the things that have to be sorted out somehow. So I think that was a great learning experience for me and the rest of the team who now are working with Kokoon, and we're kind of building this from ground up with that team. So
yeah, sweet. I can imagine it's hard, but it's also like looking back, I can imagine it's like part of the chapter of the story you're going to tell, right? Like it's
for sure,
it's a chapter. But you mentioned a couple of things there of like things you might do differently, things that you did well. So if you could kind of sit Henri in front of you and a few years ago, is there anything you would have told them, knowing what you know now? Thinking for people at home here who may be in a similar situation where they're looking for where the income's going to come through. Should we bootstrap our way? Should we reimagine ourselves? Should we go and raise money? Like, what would you tell Henri a few years ago?
I guess what I would tell Henri a few years ago would be different to the Henri that what I'm telling at the moment, purely because of the market has changed so drastically. I think at the moment, how we are building Kokoon is we definitely want to bootstrap as long as kind of feasible. So basically, the reason is that VC funding at the moment, I feel is it's kind of unreachable or not maybe unreachable, but it's not the best move for many of the studios out there. I mean, if you are a Turkish studio that is developing match 3 game, and or you have a good hybrid casual game that is starting to pick up, obviously VC funding is your go-to. It's fuel for the fire. It's something
Yeah.
it's a rocket fuel that boosts your to the next level. We're not there yet. I feel that you first need to build the game, find the perfect kind of like product market fit, understand your audience first. We have raised an angel round. We have a couple of projects that we are working on with the really well-known publishers that are helping us with getting our cash flow positive and really kind of building this from strong foundations, and doing this allows us then take the next investment round. Let's call it a seed round at some point. Let's say a year from now we will raise a seed round with the game that we are currently building. So it gives us a more advantaged position on the negotiations, but also then it starts to make sense that okay, now we haven't lost much equity with few angels on board, and we are in a good position in that way to kind of start those negotiations with VCs. That doesn't mean that we are not talking with VCs. Obviously, we want to let them know where we are.
Keep the door open, stay flexible, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And when the time comes, then they know that okay, these are the guys with that kind of game, and yeah, we've talked already quite some time. So let's start the proper negotiations now.
So that's interesting then, because if I'm playing that out, then if you're bootstrapping and using angel investment, then you kind of need to survive for a bit amount of time, whether that's with the runway you have to get to a state to raise the seed round, or even maybe launch a game if someone's listening to it, make some money, and then go. And you said something earlier, which has been on my mind personally. So I'm about to be hiring, and I'm like writing my job description. I'm like, I don't have values, at least not written down, And you said it was very good when you did that at the previous company. So I'm wondering, I guess, for a founder listening or a leader listening, to kind of build a team that wants to stay and will stay through the bad times. I think is easier said than done.
Yep.
I'm wondering, like, does values play a big part in having a team that wants to keep going with you even in the bad times?
I think building a culture definitely is important. I feel that in a startup, it's not as important as in a more established studio. So when you're building a startup, your focus, I think, should be on getting the product out there, iterating on the product, getting that kind of loop as efficient as possible. But at the same time, obviously, culture is important. You need to consciously build your team. You consciously need to build your culture, ways of working, the principles of your company and your team. Whether you want to set up values, I think that's a tool that helps you to set up and communicate the culture in a more efficient way.
So just so I understand, values helps with hiring more than, like, in your opinion, like, is it a hiring tool more, or is it something deeper?
I think values are a tool to help build culture. Like, culture is a vast kind of like concept that it's in between the cracks and in the communication of the team members. And I think values are something that solidify whether you are using values or some these are our principles that we are using in as long as you communicate your values or communicate your culture very clearly. Okay, this is the way that we work. So when you are hiring, you know that, okay, that's probably not a good fit for our culture. And then again, that person might be a really good fit. But I do feel that culture in general, it's a tool. It's not only a kind of, it's not only a recruitment tool. It's a tool for, leading the company to a certain direction. It's a tool in your toolbox to, lead a larger team. But when it comes to a startup, I don't think your focus should be necessarily building values and building culture. Obviously, it has to be there, but it's not your primary focus. You need to survive. You need to build a product, and then while doing that, I think you should, at the same time, think about, okay, what is the culture that we're building? For example, what we're doing with Kokoon is that we have decided with the team that we will continuously and consciously think about how we are working, what is the way that we actually work, and then, like, in certain intervals, come back to it and, okay, like, this is the way that we have worked. These are the processes that we are using. These are kind of the principles that we have so far used. So let's start to solidify those one by one. And I think that's kind of like again, building the foundation. So slowly kind of building that culture, building that, principles for your team. Just one stupid example that we just had a team night out, and we were all like, we are kind of all, we love rock bands and we love rock music. So AC/DC's, what's the song? It's a, wait, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. And when
Nice.
we were listening to that, and we were like, guys, this is our hymn. This is kind of like this is our song. So it's something that we feel that it takes time to actually be on the top. It takes consistency, it takes resilience to get there, and I think that's like just an example of what how you can build culture and principle.
Yeah. So if we know it's going to be hard and everyone's bought in, but like, how do we actually come back? Because it's one thing to say we're going to be resilient, but like, you went through this, right? You had the pivots. So I'm wondering, maybe I keep saying this, like, take me back, but I'm just thinking, like, in one of those pivots, maybe it was like, like, how do you bounce back knowing, like, okay, this is not ideal right now? Some context here from my side. So, like, I almost decided never to scale the agency because I'll take ownership. I basically failed hiring a writer like 6 times. Like, every time I hired a writer, the reviews on my side took more time then it saved me and I paid money. And I was like, I can't. No one can write like me. And I was like, I just can't do this. And I just gave up. And then magically, I ended up essentially bartering advice on how to do outreach. And he helped me with some content systems. And over time, it was like, oh, do you want to write? And then it worked. It's like, oh, do you want to go full time? And then it worked. And now I don't write anymore. And now we're hiring a writer. But it kind of happened by accident.
Right.
And it literally because I just found it very hard. And I was like, I need to do all this other stuff. I don't have time for this. That's kind of how I was thinking about a year ago, basically. And I'm wondering, in your situation, like time gets hard. And then sometimes you feel like, I don't know. The feeling of wanting to excuse yourself for not doing the hard thing, right? Which for me, I realized the only thing I had to do was hire, but I was doing everything else apart from hire because I was like, it's too difficult.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I guess kind of that also goes to in this kind of tactical resilience in the day to day and the week to week. Like, how do you manage the crisis decision making, and when shit is getting real, and how do you operate under pressure? And to me, it's I don't know, like it's simplicity, like just clear everything out that you necessarily don't need. Like, first calm down, sit down to think, and because at the moment when when the shit is getting real, you're not in a hurry anymore. The shit has already hit the fan. We need to start making like good decisions. So sit down, calm down, sit down to think, and simplify everything. Like, what is the thing that you need right now? Like, is it to preserve cash, or is it to do a hire, or like free up time from yourself? And how do you then do that? And or what is the number one need that you actually need to do, and then focus on one thing, just one thing at a time. And I think that's one of the kind of worst things in this current social media climate, is that you have so many things happening at the same time everywhere all at once. So it's kind of like you get this like, okay, I need to do so many things at the same time, but you shouldn't. You just like do one thing, focus on one thing.
Yeah, you're speaking to someone who's suffering. Yeah. not suffering. Yeah, I'm suffering. Basically, it's because of this, man. It's so juicy. I've got like, it's just so many different notifications. Like, I'm doing a rebrand right now. I'm hiring. I'm doing content editing. I have to prepare for a holiday. My girlfriend needs to go on a date. I need to plan the date. Yeah. And then I'm wondering, I feel like maybe it's just a practical task situation. Like, I almost relearn the lesson every now and then. I need to write shit down and then just do that stuff. And then after a while, I'm like, things are looking good now. I'm going to add more tasks to my task list. And then eventually something happens. I'm like, now it's too much. I'm doing the stuff that isn't like, maybe this is a tangent here, but on a recent podcast, Diary CEO, Kevin O'Leary, he said Steve Jobs had this concept of noise versus signal. And back then people weren't really talking about it that much, but Steve Jobs was really clear, like the things that the founder or the person needs to do, there's 80% of stuff in the day where it's noise. Yeah. And you just need to do the signal. And I'm feeling like I need to get better at first identifying what signal is and then just actually doing the signal and not doing the shiny object. Like, how have you managed to do that? You got any secrets to like kind of focus on the task at hand?
Yeah, I think that is a great question. I think everyone has their it's not like there's no silver bullet that works for everyone. I think like everyone has their own ways of organizing their work. For example, I haven't used a to-do list in years.
Really?
Yeah, it just doesn't work for me. Like I can't work with a list because I put the list here, I put the list there, I put stuff here and there. But calendar is my kind of like to-do list. Like, if I know that everything is in my calendar, I just time box stuff there. Like, I need to do that. I time box it. Like, it'll probably take like let's say an hour. I time box hour and a half there, and that is also like it. Like, going back to the resilience, I think also that will help you when you time box stuff and have like proper leeway to whatever you're doing, whether it's hours or days or weeks, then there's more reserve that you can then when something else comes, something more important or something crucial comes to you, you have that time and focus in your reserve that, okay, now I do have this time, I do have this like focus, because I haven't crammed my calendar completely full, because change is happening constantly. You always get bombarded with new stuff, and all of a sudden new crisis appears, and you need to have stuff on your reserve, your focus and your time, and I think that's just important, that you don't cramp yourself in like too much, because then you come to this like very reactive mode of, I will react to that, I will react to that, I will react to that, not like proactively planning what you're going to do and adding value to what you're doing. So I'm not sure if that kind of like answers your question, but it's a bit of a tangent, but
No, it's good, because the one thing, there's no right way, I think, is the important thing. Like you
yeah.
need to test these things. For example, I've tried to do this, and I tried only calendar, and then I tried this calendar called Motion, which automatically schedules your calendar.
Yeah.
But then I just used to get disheartened, because if I had a bad morning, it would just forward everything over, and I was like, oh my god, now I have nothing, I failed, and then I don't like to look at my calendar.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely tricky, but I think knowing that this is just the human experience, and that we just all need to have a different kind of approach, and then test it, and then we'll find what's kind of working. But I think the thing in reserve is definitely very important. Like this week, actually, this is a good. I have a question for you. If there was no events or no travel or no like conferences or all that stuff, I feel like I'd be on cloud nine. But now I have a 2 week block where next 2 weeks I have to travel. And for me, conference also means the week before and the week after is more calls. But also I don't do calls during that week, so it's even more. And then what usually happens, I don't know if this happens to you, like, okay, I can't go gym today, which is the worst thing you should do. But like I don't train, and I maybe sleep a bit less, and then I come back, and then I need to get into the mode. And then before I know it, there's another event coming on. So like for founders that are traveling, I find it personally, and the founders I speak to, because I ghostwrite for them, right? Like after winter, they're cruising. And then as soon as event season comes, it's like, okay, now we're all over the place. So what happens when you have a plan, but then you get these conferences, you get all these things coming in, and they're like, okay, the plan is now gone. And I feel like we go back into reactive and now have to restart and become proactive again.
Yeah. No, that you touch on many things that like
let's take them one at a time.
So I guess like again that like being adaptive and like reacting to certain situations. I think that's also part of the resilience, is that you constantly need to be able to adapt. And when it comes to event season or anything else that is disturbing your fundamentals, your basics of this resilience or mental resilience, I think that's you just need to somehow get it right, or you need to plan them accordingly, because your sleep and your exercise and your food, it's kind of that's the basics of your well-being, right? Some people do mindfulness and meditation. I don't. Like I play Warhammer 40k, and that's my
mindfulness.
Yeah.
And mine is Balatro. I'm
Nice.
slowly completing the game. That's my favorite thing to do.
But yeah, it's I don't know. Like I've been struggling with the same thing. I haven't fixed it yet. But like the only thing that I have done is just to try to save the morning times in every event. You go for a run and you sleep a bit better, and then have your good meetings and the quality meetings on the latter part of the day. Then you get your like the basics and the fundamentals.
Yeah, I've started doing that actually. That's interesting you saying that. I started doing that for my day to day, so I have no meetings before 1 p.m.
Right.
That's my rule now. Which, yeah, another challenge is waking up and then actually starting work as soon as I can, because I need to be my own boss there. But the nice thing is at events, I'm delaying the start in meeting more and more. So I think now I've also done like 11 a.m. is the first meeting I will do, because every time I do a 9:30 or 10 a.m., the night before I'm like, what have I done? Why did I do this? I think it's just like very important to just like have that slack, right? You need that
Exactly.
time to just be a human and just like rest, or some
Exactly.
things will come up.
Exactly, and again, like going down to your reserves, if you do an all nighter at the karaoke and or whatever, it's the events are events, then you also need to somehow slightly like return and have like build up your reserves back. So, but yeah, like that's the only thing that I've noticed that has worked for me. But like I'm sure there are a lot of people that are just like raw dogging it from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. and every day, and like hats off to them. I'm not one of those guys that wants
No,
to do that.
I think the ones that claim to be able to do it, if you actually looked at what they were doing, yeah, like a lot of people say, how do you have so much energy? I'm like, I'm just not drinking. And I don't get how anyone just drinks every single night and then expects to like recover. It's like you're paying a price.
Yeah,
If I'm going to drink, it'll be one time. But yeah, recently I just, especially at events, like I used to once or twice, and I was like, yeah, it's just not worth it. I need my sleep.
yeah, definitely. Sleep is super important for recovering and just for getting your head in the right place. So
So
totally agree.
you mentioned once like the myth of the solo founder hero, where like the founder's going to come and kind of save the day. And I was definitely this solo founder hero a year ago. I'm doing better now. Um, I'm wondering, have you ever felt this yourself? Have you ever kind of come out of this, so to speak, like the solo founder hero? Like, why is that a trap?
Um, yeah, I guess the kind of the solo hero, solo founder hero is that because, well, obviously as a founder, you will be wearing a lot of hats. You will be doing this, you will be doing that. If you're working in a more established company, you have more focused role, whether you are the CEO or team leader or whatever you're doing there. You have a way more focused role and you're focusing on that. But as a founder, whether you're a solo founder or you have a team, you kind of have to have as many hats as possible. But I guess like you actually with a co-founding team, I think at least for us, it's something that we kind of the synergies are way stronger. So the things that I lack, our designer is, for example, very very good in. Where he is lacking, I can help him out to in many ways. The same applies to our CTO. It's you don't have to do, and I don't think like if there's a possibility that you can have a founding team, that's I think at least that's better. But again, like in your case, I think it's just it's because you can do so many things by yourself, and you have the ability to do most of the things by yourself unto the point that you kind of can't anymore. So then
Yeah.
it's good sign to hire. And I think that's something that I learned in my previous roles, is that hiring only when you're feeling like this, like when you're feeling that now I'm going to burst if I don't get a hire. And I've made the mistake of hiring kind of it would be nice to have someone to do this, and at least in the beginning you shouldn't. Like I think you should only hire when you actually like have to hire.
Why? What happened?
So for us, it's just pure like cash thing. Like it costs money. Your burn rate increases, and the value that you get from that burn rate increase isn't nearly as um, significant as it would be that now we need to have someone in this role. Otherwise, we can't push forward. We can't add any more value. We can't do this if we don't have somebody here. So that is a mistake I've done in the past. That we kind of it would be nice to have somebody to do this, and it's not going to do that again.
Yeah, it's not the plan. What we've been doing here is I've got access to a virtual assistant agency. And for example, I used to do all my reports for clients. It used to take me like a good 2 hours each time.
Yep.
And I just dreaded doing them because of it just felt like I was just fighting with the data, and I was like writing it all down. I was like, and yeah, I needed to just either stop doing reports. I was like, I'm going to hire someone.
Yep.
And then did a Loom video, and it took a bunch of kind of back and forth. But now we have a virtual assistant, and we just increase her hours every time. And the only thing she does is reports. She has her own other work over there. I was like, so much better, rather than like hiring someone just for that one role. Because no one wants to just sit there and do reports all day as a full-time position.
Sure.
But it makes sense if someone else. So that's what we're doing here. So just if it's an individual task, either look at AI, if it's an admin task, or try to get someone in to just help with that thing on a repeatable basis.
Yeah,
we've had a lot of success with that.
No, that's super smart. And if you can take one thing, one task, or a group of tasks, and kind of outsource them, so to speak, that's great. And I think definitely you should. Then you can focus on what where you add the most value. I think that's the whole. That's your role, right? So.
For sure. I want to chat about loneliness a bit, Henry. So I wouldn't say I felt lonely, but like the feeling of being lonely within the company. I don't know if that's a way to describe it, where you're like, who do I talk to about this issue without sounding like I'm complaining?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know if you've ever felt like that loneliness, I think CEO loneliness or something. Like, have you ever felt that?
For sure. And like, to me, I think that was one of the biggest shocks when I started as a CEO. Like, I come from a producer background. Like I started as a producer. I worked as a producer for like 8-ish years. So my role was like very close with the team. I talk with them every day.
Yeah, one of the most social roles, right?
Exactly, yeah. And you go out, you drink with the team, and you have fun with the team, and it's like very, very close. Starting as a CEO, or even before that as a head of studio, you kind of like, you're still with the team, but you kind of notice that now there's this kind of like gap in between. And it to me it was actually a shock, like how lonely a position CEO ship can be. So like, I don't know, like I guess I'm already used to it, but I think for anyone wanting to be a CEO, that's something that you need to be aware of, that it's a lonely place. You need to make a lot of lonely decisions, and no matter how close your board members or advisors are, you still are alone with your decisions that you need to make, and in your role that you need to be in.
But you said you're doing that differently, right? You said you've, at least in this new company, you have a founding team and people have different responsibilities.
Sure. It is slightly different, but I still feel that as a CEO, you have the legal responsibility and the responsibility of the whole company and the team. So there is a difference. There is a slight gap in between you and even the founding team. Obviously, we are very close, and we try to see each other as much as possible. We do outings a lot and so on, but still, like there are certain decisions that you're just alone. You run the company in that sense alone. So in that sense, I totally feel you, man. It's
it's interesting you're saying that, like, because my solution was let me just join communities, or let me get a business coach and get someone external and chat to them about work, but they're not in the company. But I'm just hearing what you're saying. Like, at the end of the day, they're not there. Like, maybe this is what I've made it a very self-centered podcast here, but I guess it's just I'm resonating a lot. But I'm just thinking, the question I have here is like, is your company remote, or do you work in an office?
We don't have an office, but we don't work remotely either. So we try to see each other at least once a week for a few hours, just to first of all see each other, talk about stuff, and then to kind of plan the week. So we sit down on Mondays at least to really kind of like go through the week's plans and so on. But I think first and foremost, it's about just physically being there and seeing each other and talking. But we try to do that like often. For example, tomorrow we're going to this arcade bar in Helsinki to play some party games and drink beer and just like to take it easy a bit and to bond as a team. I think that's super important. Like some teams are completely like totally remote. Personally, I don't understand how it works. It's not my philosophy of running things. But if they can get it to work, then amazing. Like that's hats off. Like
isn't your team, you said, was remote for 4 days of the week?
Yeah, but we're still in the same city. We can see each other anywhere, anytime that we want. And to be honest, like I don't see why people should be sitting next to each other. Like it doesn't really add any value that you sit next to each other every day, every hour, because you still have your work that you're focusing on. Like our CTO is very focused on coding. I don't think he needs me in his back asking, how is coding going or anything like that.
Then maybe that's why it feels lonely, man.
I mean, could be. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's that actually could be one solution to try out to see even more.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I'd just quickly ask for the founder listening that may be looking to kind of raise money or do that, because you've successfully had an angel investment round and you've done that before. What would you tell that person who's looking to kind of raise money in today's market? You did mention earlier that VC money is probably not a good fit for everyone else, for a lot of people right now. But for example, angel investment, like how do you even approach that? Is that just through friends? You need the network before? Can you get angel investment without having a big network? Like any comments on like raising money right now?
Yeah, great question. I think I said VC money can be a bit challenging at the moment, and I do understand it. Like VC money is for their expectation is to 10x their investment, and in this current market where we the past 10-15 years have been, especially the 2010s had been amazing. Like it just growth over growth purely because of mobile boom, and then you could easily get an investment of like, or at least way easier get an investment than nowadays. VCs are more reserved. VCs are more kind of okay. They are picking their battles, and that's totally understandable. Like don't get me wrong. Like there's nothing wrong about that. But what that just means is that you as a founder and a studio owner, you need to be mindful of that. You need to build your first product. If it's not a set, if you're not in Istanbul building a match 3 studio, you might have you might need to look into alternatives ways of funding your studio. And I think this comes to the VC the angel investments, which is one way of actually getting your studio off the ground. We are lucky to have great angels on board, and we got them through both our personal connections, but also from just like networking and network connections that we have made over the years. I think it's when it comes to angel investment, it's important to also understand and know which angels you are approaching. If you have a PC studio, you probably shouldn't. The ones that are going to invest into you aren't the ones that have made their money with mobile free to play. If you're building a premium PC title, maybe approach the successful founders from PC world.
It's what they understand, so they're more likely to pull the trigger.
Exactly, that's what they understand. That's what they're passionate about, and for us as well. Like it was mostly, we approached people that come from the mobile background and understand and live that or have been living that world. So it was. I think that's just one thing that you need to be mindful when talking to angels. then when bootstrapping, I think it's just important to check your like your cash balances, your cash flow is everything, right? So you need to be able to get either it's project funding or alternative ways of getting funding and cash to the bank, so to speak. So whether it's publishers, whether it's some platform providers, whether it's governmental support, I think just go through different options and bootstrap as long as your core game is in a place that this is now it's ready to be actually like now you can actually start pouring VC money on it. So I think that's just important for founders to understand and don't get kind of like I think we slightly need to deglorify VC money, but also understand where the VCs are coming from and kind of appreciate the relationship, the very kind of like synergy relationship that we have with founders and VCs. So
I think the word you use there, like deglorify it, right? Like raising money is not the big win necessarily. Like it's what you did before and after that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you raise if you raise a big round too fast, or you're not ready for it, then all of a sudden you lose most of your ownership from the company, and that's what happened with Lightneer in 2015. Like it was the ownership was completely somewhere else than in the team's hand or even in the management's hand.
How does that end up happening? Is that through just like not projecting what do we need the company to look like in 5-10 years? Because I'm sure everyone had the best intentions back then, right? So
of course,
I'm guessing people will still fall into that trap in the future again. Like, what is something that is maybe a warning sign? Like, hey, slow down when it comes to either raising money or what have you. Like, I'm trying to understand when do we know not to kind of raise a certain amount of money or not? Like, it feels like I still don't quite understand when is the threshold. It's like, okay, now's the time to go.
I guess the rule of thumb is that you shouldn't be giving away more than 20 to 25% for like each round, and for if you do like advisory shares, be also mindful with those that you don't just like hand out ownership of your company, because it's very difficult to get it back. Like if you want,
I'm very confused about that. So do people? I've heard it happen a lot.
Yeah.
So they give advisory shares, and that means they don't give them any money. They don't raise any money, right?
Yeah.
So it's just for quote unquote free advice. They get ownership, and they can get like a board seat just for the advice. Like, is that really? Is that a good thing? Is that something to avoid? Like for me, that seems like, why not just pay for the advice? Surely that's a lot cheaper.
I mean, if you have the cash, then sure. I mean, that's also possible. But I also think that giving advisories like very strategic advisor shares is good for your company in the longer term, purely because you incentivize the individual to kind of work with you, stay with you. You're in the same team essentially.
So your incentives are aligned.
Yeah, exactly. So if we do well, and if our if the company does well, then everyone wins, right?
So you're kind of like hiring them for free.
Well, kind of, yeah.
Or you're paying them later, right?
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, I don't think you should have like 15 different advisors. You should really be mindful of okay, what do I need? Like, for example, in our case, we were lacking publisher and marketing experience, and that's something that one of our advisors, you're probably you're a good friend of John, right? He then brings to our team.
Awesome. Yeah, he was on the podcast like last week. So
yeah, nice. So yeah, that's kind of like I think you just like you need to be mindful of what you need, and then just like target individuals that are good for your team.
Beautiful. Very cool. In terms of the industry, I guess I wanted to speak on it right now. So I read a post, I think it went not viral, but it got a bit of chatter on LinkedIn about like the Finnish games industry and how it's in a very weird situation. So this is what I see from the outside looking in. I've been to Finland a few times,
Yeah.
and I'm planning to go again for Finnish Game Week. And I'm actually planning to do my first big event in Finland. I was going to do it in
Nice.
Helsinki next year.
Nice.
So yeah, it makes sense for me to live in a world where Helsinki and Finland does well games wise. Now, what I'm hearing or seeing, I guess, like I think it's the immigration situation where it's just harder to get talent from abroad, and also maybe the funding landscape there is quite hard. So I was just wondering, like, what's the situation in the Finnish games industry, like, from your perspective?
Yeah. You're right. I think this has been like discussed in LinkedIn quite a few times. I think to understand the current situation, we also need to kind of go back to the 2010s and the kind of boom of Finnish games and Finnish game industry. Everyone knows Supercell and everyone knows Rovio, and there were like a lot of companies then that were born and made great money, and some completely exited the founders. But at the same time, like if we compare that to the Turkish ecosystem at the moment, Turks had the first wave of successful studios, and then most of that money and those founders, they reinvested back to the ecosystem. And then you had the kind of, you have access to early stage funding, you had access to good talent, you had access to the expertise that is super important to build games and studios. And then all of a sudden you had the second wave of successful studios from Istanbul. And what happened is that that wave again back to the ecosystem, and you get access to expertise and money, especially the expertise, and then rinse and repeat, right? But
that's not happening in Helsinki or Finland.
So that kind of like it kind of like stopped somewhere in I don't have a date for you, but like I can say that it kind of like stopped or at least diminished quite heavily like late 2010s, where people who made a exit, like founders and so on, they moved to completely different fields like AI, or started investing into other things, or then they are in Supercell in their golden chains, and that's it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong.
I think I've seen Supercell, they invest decent amount. Like I think they've done the investment into Metacore, right? But like they've got investments abroad as well. Like I saw they recently, I think, converted Space Ape Games, right?
Yeah.
In London.
Yeah.
So they are investing, yes, locally, but they also invest in outside.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Supercell has their own investment arm. They have invested into great Finnish companies and great foreign companies as well. And I think that's one of the triggers that we will probably see one of the kind of next wave of great Finnish game studios being born from those investments and from that kind of like. But just to understand the present day, I think that's one of the reasons like the ecosystem and the situation isn't as good as it was. Like it's not wrong in any shape or form. Like we have great studios here, we have great talent here. It's like the whole development community is amazing. We share a lot of information. It's like the knowledge of building studios and building like making the fundamentals right, and appreciating innovation. I think those are the strengths that the next generation of Finnish game studios is being built. It's not being built with the recipe that the Istanbulian ecosystem and games is being built. So I think we just need to focus on what we do really well, focus on our strengths, and I think the next wave will be amazing. But yeah, I think just the lack of early stage funding and people not there isn't the hungry young entrepreneurs and talent isn't flooding into Finland. Part of the immigration stuff that you mentioned, and the taxation is what it is in Helsinki and in Finland. Like if you get a flat 25% in Barcelona and you get the sun, why Helsinki?
Cyprus as well. We've got
Yeah.
Cyprus has ridiculous tax rates for gaming companies, and like I know Red Hill Games, they moved
Yeah.
to Cyprus, at least some of their office, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think like it's not as grim as some people might think, and
we're being dramatic, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a reasons and whatnot, but I think there are great studios in Finland, or whether established studios or then early stage studios. Like, to be honest, I'm not too worried about it, as long as we focus on what we do right, and just like keep on chugging, because it is a long game. It's slow and steady will win the race, and I'm 100% guaranteed that the next wave of, whether it's game companies or game tech and game marketing companies, like we have Metaplay and we have Geek Lab in Helsinki, great companies are spewing left and right. So it's just a matter of time when they break.
Sweet. I'm curious, with the party games, actually, it just came to mind. I read in one of your past interviews that you're planning to do not much paid advertising, from my understanding. It's more on the social and the fact that we're playing with friends.
So UA and paid advertising, I think that's really important still, like a really important part of the equation. I think just the scale that we can then achieve with the social aspects of monetizing the social space, it is something that we feel that it's kind of like this power level to the UA.
Yeah.
Like you obviously need the UA to kind of make the UA engine needs to work as a free to play free to play mobile game. That's just like that's the fund. That's the
you need to get
unit
attention,
economics,
sure.
right? Yeah,
for sure. I'm just curious on the game. Like, is it something that you can play? I don't know how much you can share, but I'm just very curious. Is it going to be something that you can play like 6 people plus? Is it going to be? I had this come up on a lot of the marketing podcasts that we do.
Yep.
Is the game going to be quote unquote like streamer friendly or YouTube friendly, or is it going to be more local playing?
Yeah. Great question. Where do I start? So the game is a physics based arena battler. I think the inspiration from the game actually comes from a very old Warcraft 3 mod called Warlock. It's kind of like it's a party game, and it's a LAN game that we used to play a lot with my friends, and it's just like it's physics-based mayhem that you try to kind of knock out people from the arena. That's kind of the basics of it. Obviously, we will have different game modes. Like you can play. You have football mode, or you have ice hockey mode, or you have
nice.
Zombies. You have a co-op mode with your friends and so on. So I think it's just important that you have
This is the mod you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the one, the Warlock Brawl. So
this reminds me, I used to play Crash Bandicoot party game Iceberg.
Yeah. That's also, I think, very close to what we're doing.
There you
go. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
I used to play that with my brother all day.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, it reminded me a little bit of Gang Beast. I don't
know. Yeah, I mean, I think as in Gang Beast, it's the physics are super important. So whether it's knocking your opponents or using the environment to explode or knock them out, it's I think the physics is the something that makes it visually so pleasing.
Yeah, and then you can clip it and get some clips.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's the plan. Is the plan still going to be streamable or shareable, or is it just going to be like a local first game? Right. Just me being curious here.
Streamability is something that I think it kind of like comes with the game. It's very fast paced. It's very like surprising. The events are very surprising, and it's very easy to understand. So basically, it is. I think it's very very streamable in that sense. I guess we're not like designing it to be super, like it's not one of our kind of like northern stars that we are following. Okay, let's make it as streamable as possible, but obviously something that we need to consider when developing the game, that it needs to be kind of YouTube friendly, and you need to have those kind of like clippable moments of the game.
Yeah, so you can share it. Awesome. So where can people maybe find more about the game? Is there any, if anyone's listening and want to check it out?
So we are aiming for an alpha, like a closed alpha later this year, and then open up to more wider audience early next year. So beta phase probably will be somewhere like end of Q2, early Q2, somewhere there. let's see how fast we can. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's basically the plan with the current game, and as mentioned, we are also doing a couple of projects with some well-known publishers. So really excited about what those.
Oh, nice! You're doing multiple projects then, multiple games.
Yeah, so I think that's part of kind of the bootstrapping that we. In addition to focusing on our own game, we do have a couple of projects that we are running with publishers to for short-term gains. So finding a successful hit with a publisher obviously helps us, but also getting monthly premiums helps us with the cash flow and getting
nice.
Getting
so
that.
Yeah, keeps with the bootstrapping thing. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's like a lot of studios I feel like start like that. They have the outsourcing to keep us going, and then they work on their own IP.
100%.
Worst case scenario, it's not like we've invested 3 years and then just it's all gambled, right?
Exactly. And the projects that we are now focusing with our partners, then we have already built our own tech and the foundations for our game. We can utilize a lot of those elements in building, helping build the games with these publishers. So I think it's win-win for both parties.
Yeah, happy days. Lovely. Henry, anything in our conversation that we may have not covered today for anyone listening? Maybe anything on kind of being a founder, anything you'd love to leave people with?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I think we covered pretty much everything that I had in mind.
In that case, I'll ask you, what are you playing right now? Are you playing party games, or like what games are you playing?
Well, at the moment, to be honest, I'm playing Microsoft Flight Simulator purely because it takes my
No
thoughts.
way, that's the most random. I think that's the first game I've ever played or something, because my dad used to work in the airport and he bought it. It's just, I have my oldest memory of a game was actually Microsoft Airports.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
No, it's I love it purely because you need to focus. Like I have like a rig, like a sim rig at home. So
taking me back.
Yeah. So it's just like when you're focusing purely on that, because you need to be very focused, planning your routes and flying and keeping your airplane leveled and everything. You're not thinking about anything else. You're just like focusing on flying the goddamn plane. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's that's why I love it. And yeah, in addition to Warhammer 40K, which I play with my friends, like in real physical space, that's kind of my number one geeking out thing to do.
Beautiful. Lovely. Henry, thanks so much. Where can people find you? Maybe grab your ear, have a conversation with you. How can people reach you?
Well, you can reach me at LinkedIn, Henri Lindgren, or you can follow Kokoon Games. Kokoon, I think it's Kokoon or Kokoon Games. I can't remember which one is it in LinkedIn. And unfortunately, I will be skipping a lot of events, just focusing on building the company and building the games. But the next time I will be available is going to be in Helsinki PGC. I'll be speaking there as well. So happy to see a lot of people there.
Yeah, hope to see you there too. Sweet.
Awesome.
Thank you, Henry, so much for a great conversation. And everyone at home, if you've listened to this whole way through, maybe subscribe. There's probably a reason. Lovely.
Thank you, Harry.
Henry, thanks so much, and goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.